Hello, everybody. I am so blessed and so honored to be here with these five beautiful ladies and your diamonds. This is half of my diamond team, and I'm just really thankful for all of them. And I really can't wait to hear their stories, even though I've heard them for years and I've been there with all of them from the beginning. I still love to hear it every single time. So, I'm just going to go ahead and you're going to hear little snippets of our struggles, our product testimonies, why we're still here, what this business has been able to do for our families, the products, and just a little bit of whatever is on their hearts. Um, we're just going to show up and talk pretty unscripted because I'm pretty sure most of us don't have anything wrote down, or at least I don't. So I got started on the products 13 years ago now, and I I first noticed that it made me feel happy and it made my stomach stop hurting, and that was just crazy weird. I didn't know if it could feel that good. And I love the products right away. I could not afford them though. I remember being well past senior gold before I could afford the products. And so I just kept making the money so that I could afford them. But the reason I started was because I was sick of asking people for money to be able to pay my bills and then trying to struggle to pay them back. And my in-laws actually said they couldn't loan us any more money. And that was the end of that. And I was like, okay, I'm going to have to do something about it. So I joined Plexus, got some people started, and was able to pay my electric bill, and I made a paycheck ever since. My biggest struggle that I had to overcome, um, I didn't have any friends outside of my sister and my mom. And I remember telling Brittany Howard I didn't need any more friends. I was good to go. And I didn't really have any family that wasn't already doing Plexus with me. And I just had to learn how to meet people online because I didn't have a vehicle to leave my house. My husband would take it to work. So I learned self-taught social media selling, and that was definitely a struggle to have connections with people and have to learn how to do all of that, which just sounds ridiculous. I don't know how old I was 13 years ago, but I'm almost 40 in a few weeks. So, however old I was, I don't know. I had to learn how to make friends and talk to people and have conversations. And I would show up to our little meetings at Panera, and Brittany would say, Fallon, you look so rude, because I'd sit there with my arms crossed and my knees up on the table, just like my knee up at the table, just sit there real chill, like I was still in my living room. And she said that I couldn't do that. And the reason that I've been able to be successful, I would say, is because I just don't give up, and I'm not really easily embarrassed. I wasn't embarrassed about sitting at the table like that. I was just like, okay, here I am. Like, I'm just showing up. So I wasn't embarrassed that I was selling Plexus. I wasn't embarrassed to ask people to buy from me. I wasn't embarrassed that I was going door to door in the rain and my shoes were like from high school and I hadn't bought new ones, and I had five kids to buy shoes for. I didn't really care about myself, but I was just determined to be successful in this because I was smart, like all of you, and there was no other way to make this kind of money doing anything else without starting at the very bottom minimum wage or going to college for years and years and not making a paycheck. And I already had five kids. My oldest, he's almost 19, so I don't know how old he was 13 years ago, but they were getting older, and I don't do math on the spot, you guys, so you can figure that out. But I don't know, maybe he was 6, 7, something like that, and I didn't want to leave them. I was homeschooling them, and there was really no other option. It was Plexus or nothing. And so I had determined to make it happen. And for me, making it happen means reaching the finish line. And I honestly feel like I still have not reached the finish line. Like I never will, because I love this. I love winning. And for me, that doesn't mean coming in first place. It just means showing up and doing my best. And I have people following me. And now at this point, reaching the finish line is it could probably never happen, because I have everybody on here that I want to be exactly where I am at, where you can live your dreams. And I know a lot of these ladies are going to talk about some things that Plexus has done for them in their lives, because I've run out of time and I don't get to do that part. But anything is possible with Plexus, and having money really helps those dreams come true. Okay, Tiffany, I met her at the very beginning of my journey when I thought she was crazy, because she kept telling me she was at Target and then she was at Starbucks and then she was back at Target and she was at the mall, and I was just trying to buy a stroller from her. I met her on Craigslist. She talked my ear off, told me her struggles, her mom's struggles, and everybody else's struggles in her driveway. And I said, "Here, I got something for you." She thought I was going to poison her, but she finally did drink it. And as she was talking my ear off, I said, "Lori told me to find people who were strong in areas that I was weak, and I knew that she could talk to anybody and everybody, while this introvert talked to nobody at all." So, Tiffany, go ahead.
All right, good evening. Yeah, I remember that story very well. And so for me, this didn't really start as a business. I just desperately needed my health back. And I was on over 10 prescription medications at the time. 30, just thinking how as a 30 something year old on that many medications, and I had been just praying. I had a doctor's visit, some abnormal labs. They were discussing putting me on more meds, and she asked though if we wanted to have more babies, and I said yes. And I thought, well, that's strange, she's asking me that, because for me, I didn't think anything about, so I thought, medication and prescriptions were that. I didn't know enough back then about supplementation. And so, like Fallon said, I went home, I dug out this little pink pack, and my husband Greg and we split that over 2 days, y'all. We split it together in a water bottle, and I knew that, okay, I didn't die. So if it was going to take me down, he was going to go with me. But after that, I made a decision. I made a commitment. I couldn't afford to stay sick, and that's when I went all in, and my migraines, my tension headaches were all gone. I had sinus infections, allergies. I would get steroid shots every winter, have to take antibiotics. That was all gone. I had a lot of hormone issues at the time. I had a lot of cysts. I was living on birth control to function, a lot of painful cycles. That was all gone after starting Plexus. IBS, bloating, constipation, diarrhea, the constant fear of where the nearest restroom was, that was all gone. The exhaustion, needing caffeine, Starbucks every day, that disappeared. Just the dependence on over 10 prescription medications was completely gone. And the labs that had once scared me, months later, blew me away. Blood pressure, cholesterol, everything came back normal. And I got to be a mom again to my girls. And so I got my life back. And so I have still, all these years later, I think it's been almost 12 years, I still have not gotten back on a single prescription medication, and I feel great. And that was just my prayer, was, God, just let me feel normal again. And he didn't just answer that. He provided so much more than I could have ever imagined through these products. So that's my health testimony.
All right, now tell us about the business. Have any struggles you had to overcome, or what was the hardest part for you? I remember early on thinking you were going to quit because your sister had some health stuff right when you were just getting started. Want to talk about that?
Yeah, so I think that this is a part that it always gets me, but it's something I'm passionate about still sharing about. And also, I don't think a lot of people even know, those struggles, but even like present day struggles for me for almost 2 years now. My husband, Greg, has been away with the military, stationed in North Carolina, living at Fallon's back door. I was supposed to be living beside Fallon, y'all. He is literally living in a trailer down by the river, and we've still been here in North Carolina or Northern Virginia. And right now there's some deployment possibilities, but we're continuing to pray and faith that he's going to be home back with us this summer. So that's a big thing. But that has been, managing a lot of things here: 4 kids, 4 dogs, dinners, sports, schedules, life. And So this is, this season too, and I'll talk more about my sister and Bear, but my business didn't stop in this season, but it looks different. And so for me, there's days that aren't perfect. There's days that it's messy, y'all. There's days that I show up in just small pockets of time. But I think the thing is, all these years is I have managed to just stay consistent. I keep loving on people, I keep sharing, I keep building. And, in this season for me, 90% of that sharing for me in this season does look like in person and face to face recruiting. But that is something Fallon knows I love. So that's what it looks like. But I think that it's important for you to hear tonight because, building doesn't require a perfect season, okay? It just requires that you don't quit in the one that you're in, all right? And I mean, honestly, I'll say that, some notes here. Some of my most consistent growth has come in seasons that looked the least ideal from the outside. So life never paused while I built this. And, those hard seasons happened right in the middle of it. And that's what Fallon was mentioning is I lost my sister just months after I decided to really dive in and build this business. I kept going and I kept building for her. And I did it all for her, and then not even 2 years later into my business, my own son, Bear, 8 months old at the time, was diagnosed with lung cancer. And so it was in those moments that I had a choice. You could step back and let those seasons become the reason that I'd stop, or I could let them be the reason to keep going. And for me, became deeper than a business, and it became purpose. It became faith. It became knowing that God has placed this in my life for a reason. And everything in me could have said, hey, this is too much. Everything could have pulled me back. But instead, my why got stronger. My faith got deeper. And I kept showing up, even in the middle of the heartbreak, the uncertainty. And it wasn't because life was easy then. It's not because life is easy now, y'all. There are days when I can't even tell. Do not ever geo bachelor with your husband living away for 2 years, okay? Bad idea. But life isn't easy, but I know this and this is what matters. And so even now, I know that these products matter. I know that people need this. And so instead of pulling away, even now in this season again, my belief has built stronger and I've kept going, not because it's easy, but because this is worth it. This is worth it. It's worth it for others and the people whose lives just in the last 2 years, the people that I've met with on days when I couldn't even imagine going out to lunch with another person. The times that I've gotten together with kids, it's all worth it. And so I just want to say that, some of the very seasons that could have taken me out, that could have taken you out, those are the same ones that have absolutely built the strongest belief that I've ever had in these products and this business. So super passionate about that.
Yes, thanks, Tiff. And Tiffany, she signed up Jamie. And I still remember when she signed up Jamie, and Jamie was just coming up with all these people who could benefit from the products right away. And I was like, this girl's going to go diamond because she has such a big heart and such a love. The first thing she was thinking about was other people. It had nothing to do with herself. I don't even know if she knew she could make money with it. I did. I knew she could make money, and that was definitely one of my first thoughts. But this is why Jamie is so successful. Go ahead, Jamie, and you can go ahead and share.
Thank you. So, yeah, I did start I saw testimonies. So I was like sharing with my parents and like a friend before I even signed up myself because I hadn't fully decided. But I'm like, well, if this could help these people, why can't it help the people I love? So anyway, I did start because I was honestly just looking for like preventative health. Like I had saw things happening in my family and I thought instead of waiting for something to happen, I should probably take care of myself now. So I'm a firm believer that these products are for everybody because I was not even looking for results. I just was thinking this is good for my future self. What I did find out though is what I thought was normal didn't have to be normal. So I didn't have to be exhausted in the afternoon or in the morning. My crazy sugar cravings went away. I became more regular. My time in the months got so much better. I had clearer skin, and my favorite probably is my immune system has been so much stronger. I don't get colds that last a whole month long anymore. I can sometimes not even get sick when people are around me sick, or I get recover much more quickly. So immune system is so much stronger. Um, why I started sharing though is because I did initially want my product cost covered. It was an added thing to our budget. So I'm like, this would be helpful. But it very, very quickly morphed into being able to like wanting to make part-time income, if not more, so that I could stay home with my kids because numbers weren't adding up and we needed to be able to afford a mortgage. And I was faced with having to go back to work. And to me, that was so hard. It felt like my decision to be able to stay home with my kids was being ripped from me. And it was devastating for me. So I remember telling my husband, give me a few months. Maybe this can be a way I can stay home with the kids and not have to leave them and put them in daycare or whatever. So thankfully, that did happen. But I want to tell you who I was at that time because my close friends knew this. They when I started sharing, they were like, "What are you doing?" Because they knew it wasn't typically me. I was not the person. I had close friends, but I was not the person that knew everybody or could just go in a crowd and talk to anybody. I had probably 100 Facebook friends. I would be very self-conscious if I was in a room with people I didn't know. School, when having to talk in front of people, my hands would literally shake so bad I couldn't read the words on the paper. I was worried about what people would think. So if you are thinking like, oh, well, that person's successful because that's a certain type of person, or like, yeah, sure, they did it, but you have to be this kind of way. That is not true. You see people, all kinds of people in this business being successful. And if people were to judge me on that in the beginning, I would not be one that someone would label, I don't think, as successful. But I will say, because of that, everything in this business for me was out of my comfort zone, pretty much everything that we had to do for this. So why would I even do that? Well, I will say someone showed me a bigger picture. They showed me their dream. Tiffany and Fallon got on the phone with me and they showed me vision for what is possible. They said, this is products that people need, a company with integrity, a compensation plan that's incredible. We're going to the top and you can come with us. And I was like, okay, they had more belief in me than I had in myself. But I could grab onto that and I could choose to believe them. And I did. I said, okay, if I do what they do, why can't I go where they go? So use this call tonight, you guys, to grab onto the belief and the vision that we all have for you, because that was pivotal for me. I needed someone else to believe in me to be able to step forward and do that. And anything in life, I will say, if you want to be successful, do anything of value, it is probably going to be difficult. It is probably going to stretch you and it's going to require something out of your comfort zone. But if you want to do something extraordinary, then you have to step into that and it's worth it, right? We're not called to just sit here and hide or be complacent. So step into those things. I did step in. I worked. It was chaotic. It was crazy. I didn't have it all figured out. I knew nothing. I had little kids at home. And I remember what helped me. It was Tiffany and Fallon were like, we're linking arms. We're doing this together. You don't have to know everything. So they said I could ask them questions. And I did multiple times a day, every single day. I was asking questions. I was using them to help me. And that comforted me. So I didn't have to have it all figured out. And I had little kids, so I was working at nap times. I was sitting on the floor with toddlers crawling on me. I worked through having my third child in the hospital. I worked through a deployment where my husband was gone for a year. And I just worked in the different seasons. It looked messy, but it was worth it. And then I do want to mention two specific struggles that I will point out that was probably the hardest for me was the no's and objections. And I worked through that by talking to my upline. And I will say their confidence and perspective was so positive and helpful that it helped shape me for how I could then view conversations and how I could work through and help people. So, and not to take things personally. So, who you surround yourself with, who you listen to matters. And then the second thing is, I had insecurities and just not feeling good enough about, especially when it came to stepping into leadership roles, not feeling like a leader. And it is so easy to compare yourself and to think that others can do better than you. At least for me, it was. And so how I got through that was honestly, it wasn't anything magical. I just did it anyway. Period. That's it. And I controlled my thoughts. It was a fleeting thought. If I had that thought, it was a fleeting thought. And I did not ruminate on it. I did not focus on it. I just let it go out one ear and out the other. And I just had to focus on encouragement from my upline. And I grew in confidence by doing. I wasn't ready. I didn't do the things like, from coaching to speaking on stage and training. It wasn't because I was ready and had confidence. I grew that after doing those things. I did them when I wasn't ready. So step into the things even when you don't feel ready. And then today, life for me looks like that I am, I stayed home with my kids. We weren't living paycheck to paycheck, but bigger than that, we were able to dream bigger. We have an 1890 farmhouse right now with over 100 acres. So my husband gets to go back to farming, which he really wanted to do. We have Highland cows and these puppy type pigs and woolly pigs, and my kids love the animals. My youngest daughter is obsessed with her chickens, and they get these experiences that they would never have been able to have. We get to travel, we get to make memories, and who I am is different and I can model that to my kids. I can model doing something hard to my kids, doing something uncomfortable and help them dream big. So it is worth it, friends. So dream big and step into that and work for it.
Thanks, Jamie. And Jamie is the person I go to when I'm wondering if I'm being a little too crazy or sassy. Like we are total opposites in personality. So and we're on both ends of really extreme, I think. So if you ever wonder if it takes a certain personality to do this, it definitely does not. And Jamie worked with Tiffany and I, and she still was like, okay, they say I can do this. I can do this. Even though she could oh gosh, I was so unrefined. She could probably look at me and be like, wow, I can't do whatever she's doing. But she didn't. She just went and walked through the dark path and the lights came on as she needed them. And now, of course, she's doing all this training at corporate and she's on the stage and she's doing all this stuff. And also, you notice that she said she was in the hospital with her baby. We've all grown through having babies, and I know several of them are having their kids get married now. So we've gone through a whole decade of life and changes and still earning all the prizes, still doing all of the things. So no matter where you're at in life, this is definitely for you. I love that we just had, how old is Marianne's mom? She just hit diamond. She's what, 73 or something like that? Something older. And she just hit diamond. This is for everybody. So, Sue, we're going to have you share now. And I just want to say, Jamie, Sue, Sal, and Chris, they're all in the same area. Like they all rub shoulders with the same friends and the same people and small town. Like,
Mm.
and they've been doing this for over 10 years. So that's another objection or excuse that people will say that everybody already has heard about Plexus. I'm still meeting people now, 13 years later, that have never heard about Plexus. So if we can have four diamonds and then some, there's even more. There's jewels all over that area. It's not tapped out. Everybody has not heard about Plexus, and it's still a wide open opportunity. Okay, Sue, go ahead.
It is. Thank you, Fallon. This is so fun. We need to do this more often. I love hearing the stories and just the thinking back to when we all started. But yes, I started for the products. I saw Jamie's posts and quickly enrolled and felt positive effects like right away, probably within the first couple of weeks, like less cravings. I was a sugarholic. I had better sleep almost immediately, more energy. My gut was a whole lot happier after I started the triplex, the beloved triplex that we all started on. I was in a better mood. My moods were so much better, and it helped. I had some autoimmune stuff, and it helped me immensely with that. And honestly, I'm a lifer. I will never not take these products because of the positive effects that they've had on me and my family. And so when I enrolled, it was 2015, and that seems like a lifetime ago. So almost like 11 years ago now. I was a crazy busy mom, five kids from the ages of, I think, 7 to 16 or 17 years old. And we were in the absolute thick of life. And it was basically survival mode over here. I was so tired and was desperate. And so the products came at a really vital time in my life. And I was so thankful for that. I started sharing uh, Plexus. I think I put my first post up even before my products came in the mail because I wanted to get my products paid for. And I knew that was a way how, right? I could get three people. They were telling me three people, and you can pay for your own products for 1 month. And so I think I went silver within the first week of my first post, almost before I started the pink drink. And I always say that this is an accidental business for me because it literally dropped in my lap. I wasn't looking for it. We didn't necessarily need help financially. Our family didn't. Mike was very blessed with a really good job. But honestly, I have zero regrets for growing my business, and we have been very, very blessed by it in countless ways. And once I hit silver, um, I definitely caught the vision where I think a lot of us can relate to that, right? And I was like head down and focused from there. And I worked really hard daily. It was exciting. We were in massive momentum in our area, and I think yeah, I did go Emerald within a year of when I enrolled. So that was pretty fast, what they told me. I had no idea. Like, okay, this is fun. I get to go to Hawaii, you know? And so um, some of the challenges I faced were mostly, I think, mindset issues. And I can say that I am pretty much the opposite of Jamie. In I had over 3,000 Facebook friends. I am a talkative person. I can talk to people easy. You know, Sal and I grew up in retail. Our family owns a store, a general store, and so we grew up talking to people. So it was never an issue for me. And I think that is one of the reasons I grew so fast is because my network was huge. But that isn't to say that you can't grow fast if your network is not, right? Like Fallon said, it's really for anybody who puts their head down and their mind to it. You can do it. And so um I think the mindset thing was, you know, something I had to get through pretty fast because we had some haters in our area, and Sal will probably remember who I'm talking about. When we first started those first few months, yeah, we were getting judged. But I think you quickly realize that those people don't pay your bills, and you have something that people desperately need. Right. And so you just keep sharing, you just keep doing it. And because I didn't quit, I hit diamond in 5 years, and today life looks very different as a diamond, and it's wonderful. I mean, like Jamie said, tropical trips that you can earn. There's other huge, amazing perks. We've been able to start our dream homestead on our 40 acres here, and the time freedom that comes with this is just incredible and something I'll never take for granted because I'm a Mimi now. I have four grandkids and I love being able to just pick up and go and visit them and have them for weekends and so that's a really big part of my why. But honestly, I think the best part is just seeing other people's lives being changed through this that you have helped along the way, right? And whether that's health wise or financially, it's just super rewarding. And then to watch your business builders, your team, to watch them have rank ups. I mean, when Sal and Chris went diamond, it was like, this is it. This is why we're doing this. It's just so rewarding seeing your business builders reach those goals that they never thought were possible, right? And so I would just tell anyone and everyone if you're thinking about the Plexus opportunity, just yeah, there's no question. You should do it. So
Thank you, Sue. And I would 100% agree. Some of my kids want to do stuff with farmers markets. And so now I have a full calendar of like actual days and times that I have to be somewhere. I never had that with Plexus except these nightly calls that I always do from my bed. And I'm like, I don't know why anybody would do anything other than Plexus because this all is so hard and it's awful. It doesn't pay enough. Like this is where it is at. It's so much fun and I like to be in charge of my schedule because if I'm sick today, I don't want to feel like I have an obligation. To me, I want to be like, all right, I'm going to do my IPA tomorrow. I don't want to feel that pressure because I'll just show up sick and miserable and be scared I'm going to puke at every given moment. So I love Plexus so much. It is the best job ever. And now I can say that from experience. Before I couldn't. But okay, Sal, go ahead and you can share.
Thank you. Okay, so yeah. Oh, this is just so fun. I love talking about it all. And I just have so much like on my mind to just puke out right now. So I'll see if I can like wrap it up. But yeah. So I did start Plexus. Well, first of all, I just want to say this. I just want to say, us ladies are sitting here reminiscing about when we started this, and it was over a decade ago for all of us. And well, yeah, Chris is 10 years too. And so I'm just sitting here thinking, I will never forget where I came from. And yes, we have arrived at Diamond, and I know, whether that's your goal or not, you're going to arrive where you want to arrive, where your goal is. But you're going to get there and you're going to look back and you'll be like, oh my word, I'll just never forget. I'll never forget where I came from, and it's so worth it. And all the hard stuff Jamie and everybody's talking about is just so worth it, you guys. So I did start for my health. Little did I know God had like way bigger plans for me through Plexus than I could ever imagine. But I was struggling so bad with my health. Well, the number one thing was like migraines to the point of being tested that, thought I had a brain tumor. I was having MRIs and all of that, just chronic migraines. And I was having digestive issues and sleep. I just wanted to sleep all the time. I was so tired, no energy, but I couldn't sleep at night. I would lay down and I just could not fall asleep. My sleep was not restful at all. I was tossing and turning, so that I was tired all day, and I had sugar cravings and a serious Diet Coke addiction and just so many things. I was a mom to three young kids, working part-time, husband working a lot, and stress, a lot of stress. And we all know what stress can do to our health. And so, yeah, I was really struggling health-wise. So when Jamie Haskin, we went to the same church at the time, Sue and Jamie and I. And when she started posting in June, yeah, it was, yeah, probably June-ish of 2015, Sue and I, we're seeing Jamie's posts and we were like, oh my word, those testimonies. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. And Sue's like, I think I'm going to do it. And I'm like, okay, you do it. And then I will do it with you. And so we literally signed up within 2 weeks of each other. Sue signed up under Jamie. 2 weeks later, I signed up under her. So it was August for me. Sue was July, I was August. And within, about a month, I was really starting to feel some changes. The biggest ones was my energy and my sugar cravings. As time went on, I was not having my migraine headaches anymore. The thought of Diet Coke and like sugar was like, I mean, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, what is happening to me? Because I love that stuff. And I just didn't feel like I needed it. Wasn't running to the bathroom anymore after a meal. My sleep, I've never slept so good in my life. Like I remember the first time I woke up one morning and I had not moved positions once the entire night. I slept in the same position the entire night. I was like, like, thank you, Jesus. It was incredible, the sleep. And that was blood sugar balance. We all know that's tied together, right? And my blood sugar was way off. I had hypoglycemia, so I was crashing all the time. That was just huge game changer for my health. So, slowly as I went on, all of those things started getting better for me, my health, and it was incredible. So definitely started for my health, but a lot of you guys know this. I was in the very opposite position as my sis, and we were really, really struggling financially. We had a lot of debt. We were really struggling to make ends meet. We asked my parents several times to help us pay the electric bill. We were overdue and overdue and overdue and couldn't pay it, and so many things. I could just make lists and lists of uh, struggles we had financially, and that was, of course, very stressful on our marriage. Eric was working 3 jobs, and we wanted Christian education for our kids, but that was very expensive, and I was embarrassed asking church to help us pay for that. It was hard to accept help, and just all the things, and very stressful. So, knowing I needed this, I too literally clicked the button to buy my triplex and clicked post on Facebook 5 minutes later of what I was doing. Had never taken the products before, had zero belief in them, had zero experience or anything, didn't know a thing about what was in it, the ingredients or anything. I trusted the testimonies Jamie was sharing with me because I trusted her. And I really, after a lot of research, figured out, gut health is where it is. It's probably the ticket, my answer, right? The piece to the puzzle that was missing for me. And so I shared right away on Facebook. And like Sue, within a month, I had my first 3. I went silver and honestly never looked back from there. Serious momentum. Went to diamond in 3.5 years. And it was amazing. It brought, people into my life that are dear, dear, dear to my heart now, but people that I once, like Shelly went, back when we were not roommates, but in the same classes in college. It brought her back into my life after so many years apart, and just so many things. And so I had to do the business because we needed income. And as I kept sharing and my team kept growing and those paychecks kept coming in, I started having hope in my heart and belief in my heart that maybe this was going to be it. Maybe this was going to be the answer to get Eric away from working 3 jobs. And maybe we could afford Christian education without having to ask for help. And maybe I could afford, like basketball shoes for my kids and just so many things that we struggled to buy and all of that. I just started having this hope well up in me all the time. Like, I think this is it. This really is, there's so much like potential here. And people need these products and it's so rewarding. And I don't feel guilty, because I'm giving something to someone that they can use and that they will change their life too. And so I started realizing that. And sure enough, my husband, he's thinking retired from his construction job and 2020-ish. And
we bought a house in 20 acres and we no longer relied on our church to pay our bills to school. And we could pay it in full. And I'll never forget writing those checks in full to the school that we could do it. And I remember standing on the back of my deck one time, and it was after I hit an Emerald, and I opened my email or whatever, and it was $9,000 that I had made the month before. $9,000 was one of my paychecks. I make much more than that now as a diamond, but that was, I just remember sobbing. And Eric came home from work, and I'm just like, look at this. Can you even believe this is our life? And so it was just life changing in so many ways. And I don't tell you that to brag or to be like, it's all about the money. It's not, but the money can help so many things that you're struggling with in your life, and it can help others. And we like support a church in Guatemala and fund that with our family. And when we started, like, there's a whole story behind that too. That's a whole nother team call, but just so many things, you guys. When you are obedient to God and you trust Him, He is going to bless you. And that is what happened. That is our story. We didn't have the money to be obedient or to give to Guatemala and to church and to all that, but we started being obedient, and God just poured out His blessings on our family. And so, yeah, so in the hard part for me, I was a little different than Fallon said. She said she wasn't embarrassed. I was a little embarrassed. I was a lot embarrassed sometimes especially when I started sharing more and more on Facebook, and I kept posting because that's what you're supposed to do. And we had some major backlash, like Sue just mentioned a little bit. One especially, even friends that we thought were friends started making fun of us online. Small town, everybody knows everybody. And it was embarrassing for me. I was like, I cannot believe she just posted that. That is humiliating. And there was always this doubt in my mind, like, should I stop this? Oh gosh, I don't know if I can keep doing this because maybe they're right. Am I in a pyramid scheme? Like all of these things, you start like believing them a little bit. But I didn't. I didn't stop. And I mean, I think about right now, what if I would have stopped? Like, what if I would have let their um, rudeness and thinking they knew what a plexus was, which they don't at all or didn't. And what if I would have listened to them? Ah, I would not be where I am now. And I am so glad like Sue said, they are not, right in our paychecks. And I had to tell myself over and over again, like, doesn't matter what they say, keep obeying God, keep being obedient. This is the path you're supposed to be on. And as time went on, I just started believing so much more in myself, in the products, in network marketing as a whole. I gained confidence, just like Jamie said, the more you do it, the more confident you're going to get. And I mean, it just catapulted into this, like, this is where I'm supposed to be. And so the hard part was that for me, I was embarrassed, and I was a fear of man a little bit. What are they thinking of me? Oh my goodness. But that just doesn't bother me anymore because obviously, yeah, look at me now. So I don't say that to be cocky, but it's kind of like, gut health is a thing. You probably wish you would have started promoting gut health when we did, because look at now, it's like a huge thing, right? So anyway, those are the struggles I faced. And now, yeah, home in 20 acres. Eric did end up going back to work, not because we needed to financially, but because our son wanted to learn a trade. And he asked his dad if he could start a construction company with him. And Eric loves what he does. And so he went back into business with Cam's, which is super special. We had the opportunity to do that. But yeah, so many things. I mean, I remember right when Olivia was graduating from high school was when it was around Emerald-ish time, I believe. And we do graduation open houses around here, and we, feed 200 and some people. And I remember being like, this is really scary. How am I going to afford this? We paid for every penny of that, wrote one check for it. And then she got married. And there is no way we could have paid for that wedding. I wrote a check for $13,000 to one of the venues, and never could have done that if it wasn't for Plexus. Like, seriously, paid for our daughter's wedding. And those are the things, you guys, that this can do, that this opportunity can do for you. And so I could go on, and I'm talking way past my time, but I'm obviously super passionate about Plexus and how it's helped me and how it's changed our lives and how I can see, like Sue said, the people under us and the blessings it has been poured into their lives too, through this opportunity and the ripple effect and sharing and all the things. And it's just, it's amazing. So thanks.
Now, every time you share your story, I'm amazed, like from the electric bill to buying shoes, like our stories so similar.
Mhm.
And when these ladies joined, like I only knew Tiffany, and then suddenly Jamie was in my life, and then Sue, and then Sal, and then Chris. And I was like, who are all these amazing new friends? Like, I love them. They're driven, they want to be successful, they care about their health. Like, I thought it was so cool to be connected to all of these people. And that's still my favorite part of Plexus. Probably because that was something that was so non-existent in my life before Plexus, and probably would still be if it wasn't for this. And I would never, ever, ever want to do anything other than helping people with their health and their finances, because those are the two things that people go to sleep worried about. And those were the things that would keep me up at night too. I remember before Plexus, it was actually when I first started and I needed the money for the electric bills. And I looked in the bank account, we had 10 cents left. And I had four kids still in diapers and we ran out of diapers. And I remember looking at them and I was like, I guess they're all getting potty trained. What am I supposed to do? We don't get paid for another 2 weeks, and we literally
Right.
have no more money. And that was one reason I didn't care what people because I mean, for one, what would they think if I didn't have diapers? But Plexus was a minor thought compared to that. But I never wanted to feel that again, ever. Ever. I never wanted to look at my bank account and see 10 cents in there ever again, because it was devastating to worry about taking care of my kids and not knowing where the money would come from. So, Chris, go ahead and share your story because I could keep going on.
Hey guys, oh my goodness. I just look at I, what a gift to be part of like this line of amazing women. I don't even know how to say it because I didn't know Sal and I have known each other for 30 years. And Sue too, because if you meet Sal, you meet Sue. That's just their package. So Sal and I were college roommates. We met our freshman year in Dordt University in Northwest Iowa. That's where I'm from originally. And so Sal and I had done life for a long time. And yeah, so I watch Sal and I hear all these stories and I know all of them, but it just like gives me such like makes my heart race because I'm probably gonna bawl because I was trying really hard not to cry. But this has completely changed my life. And you guys, I think what you have to understand here, I'm going to say this first, is I know some of you are here and you've maybe been here for a while and you've been sharing for a while and you're like, when is it my turn? It is going to be your turn. Because I wondered that 3 years before Plexus came in my life. I was an elementary physical education teacher at a really good school, and I did love my job. I played games with kids all day. I mean, sometimes I wondered how I got paid for that. But it wasn't always easy because kids are not always easy, and there was like 500 of them sometimes, some weeks and some years. And but there were some years when it got a little bit further on later on that I didn't feel appreciated where I worked. And I know I wasn't. I had some not so nice things said to me, but then there were some things that I was noticing that I wasn't aligning with where I was at. And I'll just leave it at that. And I remember coming home one day to Kevin and I said, I don't know how long I can work here if this is the direction it's going to go. And this was a good school. And some of you know that. Um, but I just was like, I still have to do it. I have to teach. I can't quit. And I had always had a desire in my heart to not work when my kids were young. And my kids at that time, I mean, they were all in school. When Plexus came into my life, Peyton was 11. So they were 11, 9, and 5 when I first started Plexus in 2016. So, but 3 years before that, I was not sure I wanted to keep teaching or if I should keep teaching. And if you know education, especially at that time, PE teachers are a dime a dozen. Like they're everywhere and nobody ever leaves physical education. So finding another job would have been impossible. And I needed to work. Our kids were in Christian school. We were paycheck to paycheck. Kevin had a good job, but life's expensive. It just is. And so we just, we had money, but yet not a lot. And so, and there were things that we wanted to do too. We had dreams. We had things that we wanted to do. We wanted to save. We wanted to renovate our home. We wanted to do stuff. But 3 years before Plexus came in my life, I did not really want to teach anymore, but I felt stuck. Then Sal started posting about Plexus, but I had heard about it, poo-pooed it because I don't need supplements. I lost weight on my own. I run lots of miles. I eat salads every day. I don't need that. But I was intrigued because I had heard of it. And Sal, I got on the phone. I'll never forget that. Sal, do you remember when I called you that first time? I didn't join yet. It took me 5 months of watching Sal post, but I called her like right away. I was like, what are you doing? I've heard of this. And how are you paying for it? Because Sal and I were very good friends. We vacationed together, camping because it's cheaper. And I spent weekends at their homes. Our kids, kids spent time together. So we had some honest conversations. And so I called her and I knew her health struggles too. So when she was explaining that stuff, you guys, I remember praying over her at a girlfriend's weekend. I'll never forget. It was at the Staber Sue. And Sal was anxiety and she was like, Chris, I don't know what to do. And so we sat and we prayed in that bunk that night. Do you remember that, Sal? So I knew her health struggles. And so when she told me that she felt better and that her life was turned around and that she never had to pay for her products, because after I asked that, I was like, how did you pay for this? Because this looks intriguing. You're doing it. It must be good. It's helped you. And I was starting to have my own health stuff too. Like I was hot flashes, night sweats, weird cycles, cystic acne. Kevin had high blood sugar, high cholesterol. His doctor was concerned. You might need to go on meds, like all this stuff. And anyways, so took me 5 months, took Kevin 5 months of watching Sal post. And then we were like, one night we saw the list of 10. If you have these 10 things, you need Plexus. And Kevin was like, you need to call Sal. We're gonna order now. I'm like, okay. I was waiting. I was so excited. And there's more backstory to it, but I was so ready. I was ready, but I was scared to ask him because of the money. And that was the first thing I said to him. How are we gonna pay for this? Where's that extra gonna come from? He's like, I don't know. Let's figure it out. We'll figure it out. Let's commit to 6 months. But I think we need to do this because I don't want to go on meds. You don't feel good. Like, I just want to see if this works. And we'll figure it out. Just do it. And then he said, well, just do what Sal does. Just post on Facebook. So I was like, well, I can do that. I had completely deleted my entire Facebook account in October of 2015 while these girls were all posting. Literally was off Facebook, left no friends. I deleted my entire account for other reasons. Rejoined at the end of Christmas and then joined Plexus at the end of January and started posting about Plexus. So I had fears that people thought I had just joined Facebook again so I could post about Plexus. That was not true. And immediately, like Jamie said, it was a thought that went into my mind. And immediately I was like, nope, that's not what I don't worry about that. I know why I joined. I want these products. And if I'm sick, somebody who doesn't need to lose weight, but has weird things going on and I need this, then other people need this. And so that was my driving force. And so I started posting every single day and I was very scared to message people, but I had no problem when people message me. So that took some time and some learning, but the more you do it and the more you believe you build it, the more you do the scary things, it's not so scary anymore. So you just have to do it. And the more you do this, the more you learn about the products, the more you start helping people and you start getting on team calls and book clubs and watching videos and just growing yourself, the more confidence you get. The closer you stay to the fire, the closer you talk to your sponsors and your uplines and you just plug in, you gain that confidence. And I have a little bit of red in me. So like I'm mostly yellow, but my red is my competitive part. So, and the part where people tell me that if somebody challenged me, because my first two messages were negative. It was two people that told me that Plexus was a hoax and it's going to hurt people and it's not good. And I was like, you know what? I'll figure that out myself. And so that's my red part of me where I was like, you can't tell me what to do. I'm going to do this myself. And if my bestie loves it, then I believe her first. So that was one of my driving forces. But you guys, I shared from the start, it took me a little bit. I went silver a month later. And honestly, you guys, until I was ruby, I really did not believe that this was a legit, like people like me could actually hit a top of a company like this. I literally did not believe it. I think when I hit ruby, I was like, okay, I think this might be a real business. And but you know what's crazy is I never stopped in that time. I never quit because I kept helping people. I wanted to help people and I saw people's lives being changed, the stories of my team, and they're all still around. It's pretty incredible. I'm so grateful for them. Their lives were completely flipped upside down and financially and health wise. And I just, that was my driving force. And if they needed help, there was more people. And still today, 10 years later, people are either coming back or people have never heard of it. And it's just blowing my mind. Why stop when we don't have, like, it's not in every home yet. We still have to get plexus in every single home. And there's still people that need this financially. We have the best opportunity here. So I just kept going through all of that self-doubt and fear. I didn't care what people thought. I didn't care. I mean, I'm a recovering people pleaser, and every once in a while I can get up in my head, but I'm so grateful for this tribe that we have here that can help talk me off of that and help me get out of my head. And that's again staying close to the fire. When I first started, I was teaching and I had 3 kids, and even though I was a busy PE, I didn't have to grade papers, I was still busy. And so, kids were in school, they had homework. I was involved in my church. I was involved in school stuff and their stuff, classroom stuff, like friends, whatever. I worked in the nooks and crannies of my day. I worked in between my during my lunch hour. I worked after school. My kids were doing homework. I worked after my kids went to bed at night. I stayed up. I had late nights. And I did it. And I did it. And you can do it too. You just have to want to. And you have to have the drive and the willingness to help people because that's really what we're doing here. And once you start helping people, it is addictive and it's the blessing. It's the blessing. You're helping them and it's helping you rise. You're helping them rise, and we're all doing it together. What it looks like now, my life has completely changed so much so that I live in a completely different state. So I hit diamond in 2025 or 2020, sorry. 2020. And then we picked up our family and moved 700 miles from Michigan to a place that we could just pick our home. We just looked and said, this is what we want to find. And we found a house. The Lord blessed us. We were able to put down whatever down payment we needed to on it. Kevin did not have to look for a job. He was just able to like pick up and move and could look for something later. He's done the same here. He's never felt stressed to find something that he loves to do. We're not stressed to have things lined up perfectly. I was able to leave. I didn't even say this. I was able to leave teaching a year after, because I hit Emerald a year after I joined, year and 3 months, something like that. And so I was really able to, that dream that God put in my heart 3 years before that, 4 years before that, he answered with plexus. So it's not always going to line up the way that you think, but you just have to keep saying yes. Like Sal said, you have to be obedient. If you're obedient and you keep saying yes, God is going to answer those prayers. It's not always going to be easy. You're going to hear lots of no's. You're going to get laughed at. You're going to be people, but you have to get some grit. And when you know that you know that you know, and when you have people that are just small town people that didn't think that they could do something like this, were worthy of it or capable of it, and we did it, then you can too. There's absolutely no reason that you can't too.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for sharing that, you guys. I hope, well, for one, thank you for sticking with us. We hoped we wouldn't go an hour, but we thought we might, and we sure did. But I hope you guys are encouraged by this, and don't feel the need to compare your journey to any of ours because they all look very, very different. I would say that these ladies grew really quickly. And that's because I grew really slowly. For 2 years, I literally worked my butt off. I worked really, really hard and just didn't get to where I wanted to or where anybody would think I got to anywhere. I just didn't get really very far. There was a lot I had to learn, apparently, but once it all clicked, and part of it's just getting the right people on your team, part of it's being ready. Part of it is God will give it to you when He wants to. I went diamond within 9 months of that happening, and it just all happened. And that is a story that we see happen so often. Sometimes someone grows slowly, sometimes they grow really fast, but it happens when you are ready for it. So be encouraged. Keep doing the things you guys are doing. You're changing lives, and everybody is really needing these products. So thank you for joining us, and thank you, ladies, for being on here. Bye.